The Sentinels put on a masterclass in the past week, not only in-game speedrunning pretty much the entire Masters Stage 2 tournament in Iceland, but they also have the best Twitter account in VALORANT Esports. And I know it's a pretty aggressive claim, but we're gonna walk through what I think makes them so successful in today's esports marketing case study. And the cool thing is, you don't have to be Sentinels, you don't have to be the best Valorant team in the world to take advantage of these principles we're gonna discuss today. If you're running a smaller esports organization Twitter account, or if you're not even running an org Twitter account, you're just running a brand account, these principles you can still take and apply in your own situation. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And the first thing I wanna discuss here is their brand voice. The Sentinels have done a really good job of crafting a very clearly defined brand voice, and also it's distinct, it stands out, it doesn't blend in with the crowd in esports. A lot of times in esports Twitter, you see a lot of teams take a very similar approach. They try to be a little bit too memey, edgy, a little bit too funny, and it can work for some teams. Like the teams that do this really well, it's amazing. Like for example, G2 is probably best in class when it comes to utilizing memes and banter to grow their social presence. They're amazing at it, but not every team has to go that route. And what the Sentinels have done is they've understood that, hey, we're a relatively new esports organization in the grand scheme of esports history. So we need to find a way to be distinct, to stand out, to give people a reason to follow us on Twitter. And what they've done is, instead of kind of going for that usual esports Twitter approach, they've gone for a much more confident brand voice. And of course, their in-game performance has allowed them to leverage this confidence onto social, but you see a lot of teams that perform really well in game not really leverage that as much as they should on social. And we'll get into that a bit in a few minutes here. But when it comes to brand voice, super confident, but what I like about this confidence is that it's not super over the top. It's not very obnoxious. Of course, they're gonna step on a few toes, they're gonna ruffle some feathers, and that's totally fine. I would assume that's some of the intention behind this brand voice. They're okay with not pleasing everyone, but the way they do this is not super cringy, like they're not super loud and trying to really make sure everyone knows that they're the best, because they know that everyone knows they're the best. They don't have to convince you. Their team is so dominant in game that they can easily translate that across to Twitter, like I said a few seconds ago. And if you look at a lot of their tweets, they're very short, quick, to the point, but just because they're short doesn't mean they don't pack a massive punch. And to be honest, I filmed this take of this video right here about 20 times because it's kind of difficult to put into exact words what you feel when you read their tweets. But I think based on what we talked about so far, you kind of understand. Like they know they're good and they're not afraid to show it. Like if you have the best team in a specific esport and arguably the best esports athlete in a specific esport, it'd be pretty insane not to leverage that on social, especially when that esports athlete TenZ has such an engaged audience in and of himself. And this leads me into my second point, which is that they actually leverage the hype generated by their roster being the most dominant roster in Valorant at the moment. They like speedran the entire Masters tournament. They have the most popular and arguably most dominant Valorant player in the esport currently on their roster as well, and just the general hype of it being the first Valorant LAN event. And I don't think this principle is exclusive to Sentinels. I think there are plenty of esports organizations that do a really good job of leveraging that hype on social and taking advantage of key moments, but you'd be surprised how many esports organizations, and not just newer esports orgs, but really established sort of legacy brands that don't have an effective plan in place, or as effective as it possibly could be, to leverage those moments. But if you look after every single game, there's some sort of post that goes out from Sentinels that is really high quality, whether it be the copy, whether it be the graphics, and we'll get into that in a second, whether it be a meme that goes out that just really hits the mark and is like just polarizing enough to generate engagement, but not so polarizing that it pisses off a bunch of people. Whatever the case may be, there's always some sort of plan in place. You can think about it like a traditional sport like football. As a quarterback, you have several different audibles that you can call. And I would assume that in the case that the Sentinels did lose a map or did lose a match in this tournament, there would have been a good response to it. And I guess this is just a message to like up and coming social media managers, like including myself. It's always good to have a plan. Like whether you win, whether you lose, whatever the case may be, you want to have a plan in place so that we can execute on it. And really, as soon as the match is over, they're posting. And again, I know this isn't exclusive to only Sentinels, but they're just an example that has done this really, really well. You want to have a plan in place. And one example that I really enjoyed of this was after EU went 0-2 on opening day, Sentinels posted a meme of the Queen of England and said, if this is your homeland, you just went 0-2 today. And again, it's polarizing enough to ruffle some feathers, and I'm sure there were some angry fans of EU in the comments down below in that post. But with that said, it wasn't so polarizing that it's problematic or any issues really unfolded from that. Another one, they posted a meme of the Eurovision throw contest, and they said the UK scored 0 wins against us. And again, I think it's just polarizing enough to generate that engagement, but not so polarizing that it's really problematic. And I think finding that balance is a lot of the reason why Sentinels have been so successful, like we discussed earlier with their brand of voice. But they had a plan to post these, and they had these made prior, so as soon as that match was over, they went out. And again, pretty straightforward point here, but it's really important to understand. You're not gonna be super successful by winging it most of the time. You're gonna have to wing it sometimes. If a crazy moment happens in match, you wanna have those reactive posts. But I can almost guarantee that those 2 memes and a bunch of other ones and a bunch of other graphics and posts that went out throughout this tournament were pre-planned ahead of time, and they had those ready in the case that they needed them. They weren't just winging it. So hopefully that makes sense. And before we get into point number 3, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you drop a like down below, hit that sub button for new esports marketing videos every single week. And getting into point number 3 is that they have high production quality content, whether it be graphics, videos, or both, for their social media. And a lot of times social media can kind of end up being a repurposing platform for esports organizations, whether it be YouTube videos, whether it be stream clips, whether it be podcasts, whatever the case may be. And absolutely there is room for that. You should totally repurpose if you have that long form content. But I don't think that should make up the entirety of your social media strategy. You should be posting original content that was crafted for social media. And the Sentinels did a really good job of that over the course of the past week and just in general in their social media presence. And if you look at their graphics that they post on social, they're extremely well done. Their creative team is insane. I'll toss some examples up on the screen right now so you can see what I'm talking about, but their graphics are well done. And even if you look at their memes, they're extremely well done from a creative perspective. Like if you look at this tweet from Championship Sunday, it says Godspeed activated, Championship Sunday. It was an anime meme, but it was actually like colored the right way, and it just looks super high quality. The Sentinels logo is on the character. The Sentinels logo is in the background. I'm just seeing that now, looking at it for like the 3rd time. Like there's a lot of nuance there. There's a lot of detail in there and a lot of effort that went into that one piece of social content. So it wasn't just a meme they found on Google and copied, pasted, and added some text and posted it. Of course, there's time and place for those things, and I think they even used some of those at some points, but it's not their entire social media strategy. Another example, if you look at this Sentinels bandwagon form, there's a lot of effort that went into it. Of course, from a creative perspective, I don't know if the graphic design was that difficult, but if you look at the questions and the copy on this form, it wasn't just that typical take it from Google, copy it, paste it, add a logo on it, we're done. They actually put time and thought into the questions that were on the bandwagon form. And that might seem like a super simple, super silly thing to point out, but that extra little bit of effort goes a long way. And the main takeaway here with point number 3 is that a little bit of effort, or actually a lot of effort in this case, like I said, the creative team has absolutely crushed it. Huge props to all of them. But that effort on social, even though that tweet might only be relevant for 30 minutes or an hour, or in the best case scenario, like a day or 2 days, even though there's that fleeting lifespan, it's still important to maximize that engagement in the moment. And if you put that extra effort into your content, if you have the resources to do so, it can go a long way. And one more thing I want to discuss here, like I was mentioning, they have a really good creative team, and that helps with the social media performance. Like if you're not just putting all the task on one person to write the copy, do the graphics, do the video editing, do the research, do the community engagement, do everything as one person, you're gonna have more success. And the Sentinels don't have a massive team. I think it's like 9 people total on the marketing team. So it's not this massive department, but they've done a good job of having people that Zach as the social media manager can rely on to create amazing graphics, create super high quality video content, and all those other things that are gonna help make his job of writing the copy and finding those key moments to capitalize on so much easier. And that ability to not have to do every single thing on his own has allowed him to focus on what he's really good at, and has allowed the creative team to focus on what they're really good at. And when it comes together, it forms into this amazing social media presence that they have. So hopefully that makes sense. And let me know in the comments down below, is there anything else you would add as to why the Sentinels are so dominant on social media? Of course, this was like a 7, 8, 9-minute video, so I'm sure there's something I'm missing here. So let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoy esports marketing, be sure to drop a like on this video, hit that sub button down below for new videos every single week. And not only do the Sentinels have an amazing Twitter presence, they've also crushed it on TikTok. And I have a video on that on the channel as well. So go ahead and click on that, popping up on the screen right over here or over here. I don't know exactly where it is on the screen, but go ahead and click on that, and I will go ahead and see you over there in that next video.